Hey guys, what's going on? Chris here. Today we're going to be doing some lightsaber stuff. I'm going to be showing you how to create a lightsaber in After Effects. I know everyone in the world has one of these tutorials on their page, but I figured, hey, why not join the rest of the world? So, here we go. I'm going to show you a quick little example video of the Star Wars cinematic trailer that I threw up a little while ago. And I'll just hit play. Fun fact about that shot, actually, that is not as you can probably guess, that's not a real lightsaber coming to his hand. He actually forgot it way up the hill, and so what we did instead is I just rotoscoped the lightsaber coming in, and then I rotoscoped it into his hand. So yeah, we got all kinds of different lightsabers, and you get the idea. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to delete this. I messed up on my earlier recording. What we're going to do is we're going to start out by finding a decent frame to begin with. And normally you're going to want to start maybe when you turn your lightsaber on or whatnot, but sometimes you're going to be jumping around, and you know, I do that sometimes where I don't like a scene and I know it's going to be a lot of work, so I'll go to an easier one and then come backwards, whatever. But what you're going to do is you're going to want to find a spot where there's not a lot of motion blur. And I'm going to be working on this lightsaber right here. This is Josh right here. You can check out his channel, AC Milan Crazy. He's got a lot of cool videos on there. But you're going to want to find a decent frame like this. Now this, if I were doing this lightsaber, that would not be so good, but this one, that's decent. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid. You can also do Command or Control Y. And we're going to want to label this lightsaber. And if we're doing multiple lightsabers, I would name it, you know, left or right for Josh, or whatever the actor's name is that we're doing. Okay. Next thing we do is we have a white, and it has to be a white, okay, as long as you don't do anything but a black solid, you're okay with, but I normally will stick with white. So we are going to, you can either hit T and bring down the opacity and work from like this, or what I do is I just turn off the eyeball. The next thing you want to do is you want to select the layer, make sure it is selected, and hit G or go up and pick the pen tool up. And then we're going to zoom in. And I can do this by hitting Command plus or Control plus, or you can hit Z and click and zoom in. Okay, so we're going to want to do the dowel here, and it's okay if it's not perfect. I'm just showing you an example, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 4 points up here so we get a little bit of a curve, and I'm going to come back down and do that. And you can even add a third point down here, and you would be able to you know, give this a little curve down here. It just depends on, you know, that's a little bit extra work, but I'm not going to show you that today, but you can do that. And then we're going to just go in here and adjust, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to make sure that it's wide enough to cover the whole dowel. It's okay if it's a little wide, but it's not okay if it's too skinny, because if it's too skinny, you're going to be seeing parts of the dowel, which will totally take away from the effect. So a little wider is not bad, but try and keep it as clean as possible. And I know this is not the greatest example, but it's all good. Alright, so that's fine. We can turn back the lightsaber on, and you can see, and then, you know, there's a little black there, so I might want to cover that up and adjust this, and that's okay. Okay, so the next thing, select the layer, hit M, and we're going to click the stopwatch for mask path, and we can go forward a couple frames and then adjust it here. This is what I normally do, is I'll go forward maybe 3 to 4 frames and let it do its thing, because After Effects will actually calculate in between keyframes and figure out where the mask path should be going. And it's not always correct, depending on how good of a job you're doing and how crazy your footage is, but it tends to help. As you can see, if I go backwards, not perfect, but it's a good start. And then we can go backwards and kind of readjust and do this. And I've found that saves a lot of time rather than going frame by frame by frame. But in some cases, you will have to do that. Okay, so that looks okay. I'll just turn this on. I'm just showing you an example, and yeah, so that's alright. Go through here. Yeah, that looks good. And if you were to do, say, this lightsaber over here and Josh's head is in the way, what you can do is draw another mask like this. Just say that's someone's head, and it'll be white or whatever the solid color is, but what you can do is you go down here and do subtract, and it will actually get rid of the blade at that point. And so that's what I would do going through his head or whatnot. Or another option is that you just you duplicate the footage and then just select out of his head, and then put the head on top of all of the layers. Either way works. So I'm just going to get rid of that mask, and let's get back to the lightsaber. We're going to turn this into a pre-composition, and I'm going to do Command Shift C or Control Shift C if you're on a PC, and we're going to pre-compose the composition, and it'll probably by default be on the leave all attributes. You don't want that. You want to move all attributes into a new composition. You can label it, lightsaber, like we labeled the layer, and it'll turn into a pre-composition. Pretty cool. We're going to double click this, open this up, and I'm going to go to Layer, New, Solid. Now this has to be a black solid. Hit OK, OK, and we're going to put this below the lightsaber. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to select the lightsaber layer, go over here into Effects and Presets, and select Fast Blur. Now you can get away with doing other blurs, but I prefer the Fast Blur look. And we're going to go up into our Fast Blur after dragging that onto that layer, and we're going to change the blurriness to, let's say 5. And make sure you hit repeat edge pixels. If you don't do this, the whole thing's just going to be blurry. So if your whole lightsaber is just blurry, then you know that's your problem. Next, we go down to lightsaber, and I'm going to hit Command D 3 times, or you can do Control D if you're on PC. 1, 2, 3. And let's see, we're going to go to the second one. So this is our first, this is our second, and we're going to do 20 in our blurriness. And as you can see, it's already getting a little bit of a glow to it. Next, 40. And the thing about all of this is you can achieve this in many different ways. This is just the way I do it. You can add a glow to this, the solid, and you won't, I don't know, whatever. There's plenty of ways to do this, so this is just my way. Next, we're going to go up here, and we're going to do 200 for the last one. And these numbers aren't going to be perfect for every situation. If it's a close-up shot, you may want to go a little bigger. If it's a far-away shot, a little smaller, or vice versa. It just depends on what look you're going for. So you'll be able to play around with it, but this is good guidelines for what I'm doing. Okay, so that all looks wonderful. We're going to go back into our original composition, and when we get here, it's going to be black and just the lightsaber, and that's because we need to go into our modes and change it to add. You can also get away with doing screen, but I prefer add. Next, I'm going to go up into effect, and we're going to go to color correction. And once again, many ways to do this, but I prefer color balance. I learned this from Ryan Weber, if you've ever seen his awesome videos on YouTube, Ryan vs. Dorkman or any of those. He does a little tutorial, and this is how he does it. So color balance, and from here we can kind of adjust. You can do your shadows, and it's red, green, and blue. So you can mix any of these to get weird looking colors, purples or yellows or whatnot, or you can just go specifically for the reds and just adjust these. And I found you're mostly going for the highlights and the midtones, but a little shadow doesn't hurt either. And then lastly, and I mean, once again, you can adjust this to whatever looks good, because every scene is going to be different depending on the lighting. And lastly here, we're going to hit preserve luminosity. And you kind of need to do that, because otherwise it'll look not as great. But I usually do that. Preserve luminosity. We keep that. We get a little glow, and it's nice because actually the glow looks like it's in the scene. It's on the hand and whatnot, and when it's near the face, it'll look like it's on the face. So guys, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions on what I did, or want to know anything really on After Effects, just leave a comment in the comment box below. And if you like this video, please like it, favorite it, and pass it on. And be sure to subscribe. Alright guys, take it easy.